Good afternoon, everybody. This is Ed Carter, and welcome to today's April 25th Trader Vision 2020 User Workshop. We'll go for 45 minutes or whatever it takes, and I put up that poll to see if you had a particular interest. It looks to me like it's kind of spread right across the spectrum. I'm definitely we're planning some trades, so we will get trade log in as well. But just because I know that we will do that as well, I'll pick between goals and the dashboard watch list. Do you guys have a preference for one of those two more than the others if your only choices were goals or dashboard? Silence. Okay. Well, then I will just choose for us to do goals. And we will go from there. So again, thank you for coming. And let's go down here. Goals was chosen. I don't know why, but it only changes the entire text box. Hi, Coach. How are you? So we'll go over goals this evening. I'll answer questions if you have them, and then we'll plan some trades, which will also give us a chance to go through trade log. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Before I do that, let me just cover a few things. Right now we are working on the performance widget. We're making a few changes. You will notice some things, they're not quite finished. They're close, but not quite. But we now tell you what your largest loss was, what your largest win was, and we're working on putting together a list of your longest string of wins, longest string of losses, and the current streak. You can also pick that up in this case because they got so few trades in the sample account. You could easily pick that up, and at this point this account is on a 2-loss streak. Prior to that it was on a 4-win streak. So we're working on that. We're also working on improving the reports, and we have decided I've been struggling with, or we have been struggling with, the fact that this is a very, very complex tool, and it's an entire reporting package, but you can do all sorts of things that we just really don't want users to have to deal with, and it's going to cause more support headaches than not. So what we will do is we will create the standard list of reports, let you ask us for additional reports that for some reason are not there, and we will create them for you and send them in an update so everybody has them. And then we will, for very few select people that are technically savvy and really want to do it, we will give them the ability to get in and edit trades where they can change all sorts of parameters, fields, and the mathematics and everything behind reports. But we really don't want to do that for the general users because it's not the reporting package that we use is not extremely well documented, and it will cause more support problems than just letting us create the reports for you. So that's how that will end up being. We struggled with it. We just decided that we would rather create the reports ourselves than have to try to teach you how to use a programming language and reporting package that is very complex. It's just too much. So that's where the development is at right now. We've cleaned up some problems and we're fixing things, but the main things is we're now working on the performance widget, and we're getting to the things that Philippe had talked about here a few weeks ago. We're adding streaks, we're adding largest wins, largest losses, and we'll show the improvements. Once I have this released to everybody, Philippe, if you are one of those extremely technically savvy people, I will. So, that's where we're at. We're working on performance, and it's still underway. Let's start talking about goals here. Yeah, Walter, I seem to live there. I've always got a test version that I'm running. Well, not always, but 99% of the time, because we're always working on new development or a product, and I can't just keep swapping back and forth between the production version and the development version. I need to do it 5 times a day. So let's start with, let's see if I have any accounts that don't have goals. I can start fresh. There we go. Okay, so if you first open the goals widget, this is what you would see. And let's talk about why you would want to have goals. You have to have goals. If you don't have goals, you're not a professional trader. You might as well just send your money to somebody and go find another hobby. Because if you don't know where you want to go and how long it's going to take you to get there, you don't know whether you're on track, you don't know how to manage your trades, you don't know how to plan your trades. You're just going along expecting somebody to give you success, and that's just not the way the world works. So that's why you want goals, to have the parameters that you can validate, plan, and manage trades towards, and to tell you whether or not you're on track or not. How you get valid goals, they call them SMART goals, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely, is by using our tool. Let's just put it that way. This account the goals section. Goals tool has 3 sections. It has my goal, where you set longer term goals. It has the plan to reach the goals, which are in themselves, you could call them goals, but it's actually a plan to reach the goals. And then it has the difference between those two to tell you what you need to do to adjust the plan to reach the goals, or adjust the goals to what's realistic for the plan. That's kind of difficult. Down below you just have a visualization of that. It's kind of difficult to explain, so let's just work some examples to see how that works out. So this has a starting balance of $50,000 for the account, and we want to figure out where we want to be working in monthly buckets, 12 months. So how do we want to, how far out do we want to get there in a year? Let's say that we want to make 15%. So that's going to be what, 5750? Yeah, 57,500. No additional deposits. That means we need to make about 1.17% per month with compounding to reach that 15% gain over a 1-year period. After you have some trading history, you will see these bottom numbers down here in the plan section tell you what your history has been in terms of your average win size, your average loss size, trades per month, and your win ratio, or what percentage of your trades do you win. To start with, let's just put in some numbers realistically. So on a $50,000 account, at most, let's do 5%. we're talking about a $2,500 position. So if we had $250 wins, that would be a 10% win on trades, and that's pretty darn good for an average. And let's say that we're going to keep 2-to-1 ratio between our wins and our losses. So we want to lose on average 125 or less. How many trades can we do per month? Well, let's say we do, just start out with, let's say we do 10. And since we have no trading history, we don't know what we normally win. Let's just say that we win 50% of our trades. So we're going to do 10 trades. That means we're going to have 5 winners and 5 losers. The 5 winners are all going to have a $250 win on average, and the 5 losers a $125 loss on average. We're going to trade 5% of our account. What does that mean? On average, across all 10 trades, we're going to have a win of 2.5%. And on average, across all 10 trades, we're going to have a win of $62.50. And that is going to get us, if we can do 10 trades per month, win half of them, and keep $250 average win and $125 average loss, that is going to beat our goal by just under 1%. So whatever 1.1% of 1.17% is what we should make per month. And you can see down below that the yellow line is your goal, the orange line is your plan, and you can see that they're above. It's pretty difficult to see, so let's zoom in, but you can see the green area then is that we have a green difference. If we had made this $250 win and a $200 loss, we of course would then have our goal way above our, you can't hardly see it, but there is that orange line there, our plan, and that would be a red difference between the two. So that's the process of planning goals. It's the interplay of the long-term goal and then your plan to get there, your average win, average loss, trades per month, and win ratio. And then to validate that, you put what percent of your account you're willing to risk on every trade. That tells you what your trade size is, and it tells you that it would require that on average you have a 2.5% win. So we know that if we're doing a $2,500 trade, our wins have to be 10% wins. If we're doing a $2,500 trade, our losses have to be 5% or less. And those give us parameters that we can use when we're planning our trades and validating our trades. I went through that pretty quick. We can do another example, but I just want to ask if you understand what I've done so far, if you have questions about what I've laid out. Okay. So I have saved this goal, and now I have a goal recorded here for the 25th of April. And then you can track how we've done. It will track our trades or our account value at points in time, so that we can see how we're doing versus our not only long-term goal, but against our plan to reach that goal. By the way, the gray area, dark gray is historical account, which in this case was really just the start of the account, so $50,000 was added. And the light gray, off-white, whatever you want to call that color, is a projection forward based off of the history. And there's really no history, and so it's not a terribly valid forward projection to start with. That becomes more valid as time goes by, but to begin with, it shows a slight gain. So that's all there is to planning a set of goals. You can do that on weekly buckets if you're a shorter time frame trader. If Or maybe you just prefer working, like in 50, you still look at a year, but 52 weeks as opposed to 12 months. But you can do that, and then at a future point in time, you can select a new date and save a new goal. You would just click the plus, set the date to a date in the future, and do the same process. Your goal for longer term, the plan to get to that goal, and then play with the parameters till you have beat your goal by a small amount. You don't want to beat your goal by 10%, because that means you're probably either a very low goal or unrealistic plan, and you don't want to not meet your goal, because otherwise what's the point? So you may have to reduce your goal, you may have to increase your plan, but you'll definitely have to come to an understanding of what's realistic, what can you achieve, and after you've worked with the tool for a while, you'll have some history off of which you can then base, well, I've been winning 55% of my trades, so I can jack this up to 55, and if I want to push myself, I can try to jack it up a couple more percent or something of that nature. So that'll allow you to continue to improve your goals and improve your performance and kind of spiral upwards. That's the whole point. So that's really what the goals widget is all about, is forcing you to think about your longer term goals and how you will get there, and whether or not keeping those parameters in sync will get you where you need to go. When you're planning trades, then that will give you the tools where you say, I've got to have, I've got to make $250 per trade. If a trade doesn't offer me that opportunity with a $2,500 investment, I'm not going to even consider it. Or if I've got to risk $500 to be able to make that $250, again, I'm not even going to consider it. So that's what the purpose of trade goals is all about. Okay, let's see. With that said, let's, and with no questions being typed there, I will go ahead and we'll cover trade log, then I'll ask for general questions, and then come back and plan a few specific trades. So this is trade log, and as the name implies, it's a log of all of your trades, planned, closed, open, whatever they are. You can adjust the account that you're displaying from this pull-down list. You can adjust the time frame that you're displaying by clicking this little down caret or down arrow to pull down the date tool and select a different period. So maybe, I don't know, maybe February 1st through December 31st, or maybe January 1st, but not of 2018, of 2017. You could do that as well. So whatever period you want, you can select here. You can also narrow things down. I've got 150, 170, whatever the number is, trades planned here or executed, but let's just say I want to look for the HubSpot trade. I can just type the ticker and it will pull it up, or I can just look for any short trades and it will pull up only my short trades. I can pretty much search by any field, ticker, status, direction, dates, whatever you want to look for, you can pull up and it will filter the list to those. To plan a new trade, you click the plus sign. If you want to delete either a single trade or multiple trades, you would just click it, to highlight it here in the selection column, I guess I'll call it its field, and click the trash can. It will ask you to confirm deleting it, and you can delete that. And you can do multiple trades at one time as well. Ask you if you want to delete 4 trades. Again, you can. Also have these 3 horizontal lines. I'm not sure what this icon is called, but essentially it is a menu tool, and you click that and you have largely the same options. You have add a new trade, edit trades that you have selected, delete a trade, print a trade, or print the log, export the log to multiple formats: CSV, HTML, XML, and SYLK is a new Microsoft format specifically for spreadsheets, and it's kind of an improved version of CSV, but CSV that can pretty much only be read by spreadsheets. You could import trades as well, copy them. If you wanted to do a direct copy, or for some reason you wanted to move, you did the same trade in 2 different accounts, you could copy it and paste it into another account. You could cut a trade and move it to another account by going to the other account and pasting. So that's basically what you can do from the menu. And then beyond that, we will talk about in more depth about trades as we plan a couple here. So before I go any further, let me ask if you've got any general trade log questions this evening or this afternoon. Can I use? For the recording, I'm waiting on Phil to finish typing his question here. You can use it for multiple types of trading. The way I would strongly recommend that you do it is by creating multiple accounts. And I know traders have done this who, for example, they'll have their swing trading account, their long-term account, and if they have a short-term trading account, they will, have those as separate accounts. And that way you can do, when you're doing your performance analysis, you can do that within the group of, in your case, day trading, or within the group of swing trading, because you may want to analyze that performance, or I think you do want to analyze that performance differently as opposed to lumping them all together. So yes, you can. With that said, Phil, I will tell you that this is not intended to be a day trader's tool, and the reason I say that is because day trading, and I know Steve disagrees with me, but I'm just going to have to politely say I'm right. Day trading is not a planning type of trading. It's very reactive. It's very fast, and so for that reason, all the tools have to be very nebulous, very, very, very light, and allow for essentially action with no time taken to plan or analyze. You just have to react quickly, and therefore, by the very nature of day trading, it does not lend itself to this type of tool, or you could say it's the other way around. This type of tool does not lend itself to the fast-paced, second-to-second, tick-to-tick type of reactions that are required for success in day trading. Now, if you do slightly, it's a definitional thing, but if you consider day trading to be hours at a time, I understand what you're saying, Phil, with 5-minute charts. and that probably does not give you the time to analyze things the way this tool is intended to do. And you'll see that here in a moment when we go through some trades. But you'll have to make that decision yourself. It's not for me to tell you, no, you can't use this for day trading. But I think, in my opinion, it's not the right tool for a reactive type of trading like day trading. If you were doing hours, or working in 4-hour buckets or hourly buckets even, it might make more sense. But if you're working in 135, which is usually what day traders is doing, either tick charts or 135, then this probably is not going to be the tool for that. Okay, with that said, well, Philippe, the option tool is not yet developed, and we are going to try to make it so that they can be joint, but you can always keep them separate if you. For one thing, the leverage difference is such a big thing. In fact, I know of a couple traders who they have an account set up for stocks and a different account set up for trading leveraged ETFs, because just the performance, when you're comparing a stock that, let's say one of the diamond stocks, one of the Dow, they're slow, stodgy, tend to move 1% or less, and you're trying to compare that to something that by definition moves 3 to 5% a day, they really should be analyzed separately. Excuse me, allergies are killing me, so I'm drinking here. But yes, you can do it on a delta, neutral basis, but I think we can certainly develop it such that options and stocks can both be traded the same. I think the main theme of why should I have separate accounts would be that there's different types or styles of trading. That's going to be the big thing. So if you trade over the same time frames for stocks and with options, then they probably can work in the same account, but you may want to spread them out to different accounts based on leverage or slight differences in trading and so forth. Okay, let me go back to this PowerPoint here. Does anybody have any general questions just about the application in general or some other widget or whatever? Let me know, and then we'll go back and plan some trades. Okay. Looks like we're okay for now, so we can come back to that. Let's go to the charts and just pick out some trades. These are ones, CRC was one, Rick talked about it or Doug talked about it towards the end of the day. I've been kind of on it all day long, looking for that pullback to end, that J hook to break out, and it did in fact close as a breakout here. This is 2-day. You can see where I've drawn these support and resistance lines off of these lows and these highs, lows and highs. Again, they should be general areas, not specific. High, high, low. That's probably another one there. But you're going out to a weekly chart and you can see these things match up. Should I move that up a little bit? Should I, keep it where I had it? Hard to say. For now, I'm just going to leave it where it's at. But generally speaking, these are the support and resistance levels that I see as being major. Dropping back to a daily, then we can see this J hook. We can see we basically did a 23.6 pullback of this run, and we're maintaining this trend. And we've now broken out of that J hook. So I would be looking for a retest entry, something that retested this breakout level and then bounces up. So my entry is going to be in this area here. You know, down in here. Let's make that green. And my stop is going to be down in this area. Let's see what V-stop says. 23.33. Wow. That's way down in here, which is about the 23.6. That probably is not going to make a good trade. So I'm going to, again, wait for the retest of this breakout level. And once that proves the support, I can set my stop tied up underneath it. And that's what I'm going to be looking for. My first target, let's change this to red. My first target is going to be up in this area, right around where support and resistance lined up with the 38.2 extension of this run, and that matches up nicely with my preferred approach of, on a 23.6 pullback, 38.2 is the first target generally. Let's make that pink, and I'll probably do a second target on this as well, which would be up in this area where the 61.8 and this other support and resistance level match up pretty close to each other around the 31.25, 31.50 area. So let's plan that out. So we create a new trade. We put in the ticker. For this account, we're looking to keep our loss to the stop, so the difference between the entry price and the stop, down to 125 bucks. It says this thing reports 5.3 after the close, which is not great, but it still gives us just over a week. If we think we can squeeze out in a week, maybe this first target, it may be worth doing. It says the overall market has been trending down, both in the long-term and short-term basis. And for this account, I've chosen the 50-day or 50 candles to represent the long-term bias and 5 days to represent the short-term bias. The symbol itself has been pulling back here in this J hook, over the longer term. So you can see that the 50-day has been, that's the blue line, has been moving back. And in the short term, it has been, these last 5 days, breaking out of that J hook. The T line is above the 34 EMA. I have plenty of liquidity. It trades about $44 million worth of stock a day. No real candle signal today, but we do have that J hook, and we do have higher highs and higher lows working for us. So let's see if we can't plan that trade. Let's, since we've only got a week to earnings, let's do only one exit planned. So if we had an entry of about, let's call it 25.60, and we had our stop set here, again, we're only going to enter after it bounces up off of this support level, proving that is support. So I can tuck my stop up pretty tight underneath that. Let's call it 24.80. And my first target's going to be up here around, let's call it 28.90. It tells me I can buy 150 shares, 156, and keep my potential risk between entry and stop down to just a second, William. If we had a 25.60 entry and a 24.80 stop, To keep our potential loss to 125 bucks or less, we can do 156 shares. Let's just do 150 because I like round numbers. If we do 150, we're risking 3% of the account, and we're actually risking $120 if we're stopped out. And if we do make that first target, we would be looking at a potential gain of $4.95, which would allow us to meet the trade goal that we've just planned. Well, actually, it's a different account, but which we have previously planned. So in this account, I want to make 350 bucks per trade. So yes, I could do that. And what kind of reward to risk am I getting? I'm risking 120 to make 495, which is 4.12 to 1. So that is a trade well worth looking at. But it is all dependent on two things. One, recognizing that we have earnings at 5.3. And secondly, that I'm going to only trade after we bounce up off of that breakout level, which was what, 25.30? So it needs to retest 25.30 tomorrow and then bounce up, and I can get in about 25.60. So that's what we've got going for us. These market conditions, and to answer your questions, William, yes, the market conditions at the moment are not editable. So at the moment they are not editable. Well, that's not exactly true. You can edit the on an account by account basis what period you consider to be long-term bias and what period you consider to be short-term bias. And again, I've chosen 50 days and 5 days. We will make this completely editable so that you could think about these as your trading rules. And you can define the trends. The way I explain it to people now is that you can define an account by account basis. So for a short-term account, you may look at the 20-day moving average as your long-term trend and the 3-day as your short-term. But for a long-term account, you may say the 200-day moving average is the long-term trend, and the 50-day is the short-term trend. So it could be different from account to account, and that's the what you have at the moment in terms of editability. We will change this soon such that you can edit all these things. So you can edit what periods, what type of moving averages you want to look at. Right now we're using simples, but you could use exponentials as well. We will implement that. We will let you decide. Rick basically likes the T line above the 34, those relationship, to define bullish and bearish. And so that's why this is entered in there. But you could, I know a lot of traders that trade to 3-8 cross. So you could, edit this to 3-8. You could use your own liquidity rules. Right now we're using my liquidity rules, which you can see right here, which is the last price times the 63-day average volume. How many dollars of stock does it trade on average per day? And then, of course, candle signals and candle patterns will allow you to edit those as well. It's right now scanning based on my definitions, my scans that I've written. So it wasn't a quick answer, but at the moment you have limited ability to customize, but over the longer term, that it's on the development plan is what I can tell you, and that is something that I know is needed. For the people who asked about trade log earlier, let me go through the rest of the I guess we'll call it the trade form. So the top part up here is really definition of the trade or description of the trade. Is it long or is it short? What ticker? What account? How many, what's the maximum dollar loss that you can sustain to reach your goal? And this is a default, but you can change it on a trade-by-trade basis. If for some reason you thought, wow, this is a special situation, and instead of risking 125 bucks, I'm willing to risk 250 or whatever the number is. You can change that on a trade-by-trade basis. The plan duration is really only used if you are trading short, and it is used to help estimate the cost based on what you've set up in the account, the cost that you would pay in commissions for the loan of the stock from your broker. The earnings are automatically looked up for you, and it's not perfect. None of the services are, but it does a pretty darn good job of reporting what the next earnings is and whether it's after the market close or before the market open. Trigger, again, is just a note you can make to yourself about what is the signal, what is going to tell me, I'm planning this ahead of time, what is going to tell me to enter. In this case, we're looking to see a bounce and then a specific price. The market conditions tell you the condition of the trade, and it's right now set to current, but if you come back to this trade later, you can see what it was at entry and at time of close. So if you come back to this trade in 2 years, you'll be able to get back inside of your head, what were you thinking at the day you entered and at the close. Now right now this is a planned trade, so there is no at time of entry or at time of close. What you would do is on either a line-by-line basis or for the grand total would move them all. You can move this plan to execution. You can modify it again down here, but you move it to execution, and then you can execute the orders, place the orders either one at a time or all at once, depending on how you do that. You can also enter your cost basis adjustment, so you get a dividend, you can record it here, or you place a hedging trade. You can enter the cost here so that the trade reflects the full weighted cost that you have in it. Whenever you click one of these place order buttons, it will give you the time and date that the order was placed. You can adjust those as well. And then as the trade grows along, you can manage the trade here. Every time you make an adjustment, it will record it. So I move my stop, it records, stop moved and so forth. You can take notes for yourself. You can attach files. You can attach spreadsheets or a PDF of an earnings report, or as many images as you want. You can have as many attachments as you want for each trade. On the right-hand side is a description of the trade setup. So our trade goal comes from our goals, the current price, the high and low during the course of a trade, the break-even point for either the plan. This, I should tell you, is two-sided. The blue side, the left side, relates to the blue labeled trade plan. The green side, the right, relates to the trade execution. Why do we need two? Because you may have planned for an entry at 25.60, but you ended up getting filled at 25.70 or 25.55. So that will change the numbers a bit. So the break even based on this plan is 25.60. It tells us I can buy 156 shares and stay below that maximum loss of 125 bucks. It tells me it would cost me at the 150 shares, it's going to cost me 3,840 bucks to enter this trade, and that includes commissions. In this case, I don't have any, but includes commissions, and that's 3% of this account. As set up or as planned, $120 maximum loss, $495 maximum gain, 4.12 to 1 reward to risk. And to achieve my goal of 350 bucks, it only needs to move to $27.93. So someplace right in here, I would achieve my goal for the trade. And that's good information to know, because I know that I don't need to get clear up here. It would be great to get clear up here before the 3rd to achieve my 495 bucks. But as long as I get to 27 493, which is 9%, 9.1%, I'm going to be able to achieve my goals for this trade. And so I may be a little bit more willing to take this trade. Let's see what else. It tells us that if we're stopped out, I'm going to lose 74 cents, which is 2.9%. And up to my next target, in this case, there's only one target. There's $3.36, which is 13.16%. So that's what it tells us about the trade. Once you've entered the trade, then it will show you what your open reward to risk is, the number of shares you still have open, the cost basis you still have open, your open gain and loss, your current gain and loss, which is, let's say we had 2 exits. We had planned for 2 exits. We've taken one of them, so we would have an actual gain and loss for some portion of the trade, and the remaining open gain and loss would be shown there. So it's 2 fields. It would tell us how we're doing versus our goal. So our goal was $350. If we made all $495 that the plan said, it's going to tell us whatever $495 to $350 is as the ratio. So it tells us, are you exceeding your goal or not meeting your goal? And then, of course, for this account, I have specified that I want to compare to the SPY. So it will record when I do an entry, when I place the entry order, it will record the price of the SPY at that point in time. And then when I close the trade, it will record the price of the SPY at the time of the close. Therefore, you can measure the performance of this trade versus the overall market you're trying to measure yourself against. The last section down here is where you're grading your trade. And this is where you turn the spotlight on yourself and what you've done. Grade your discipline, out of 5 stars, how much discipline did you exhibit? Did you trade the plan exactly as you had planned it, or did you get scared and modify things midstream? Record any mistakes you made, such as this thing takes off in the morning and I was stupid and I chased, it goes up but then it pulls back 50 cents and I got scared out early. You record all of these things so that you can look at your performance later and say, when I exhibit 5-star discipline, what's my performance? When I exhibit 1-star discipline, what's my performance? When I chase at entry, what has that done for me? And when I have been too greedy and I don't take profits, what does my trading look like during those situations? And then the final piece is to record your emotions. And this is very simplistic at this point. We do it with emojis, but at time of entry, what are you feeling? You record that, and same thing during the trade. If you're making adjustments, record that so you can have your emotions recorded. And at time you close the trade, what are you feeling? You were on plan, or you were scared, or you were greedy. What's the emotion you've got going for you there? The idea is to let this tool help you inform and give a feedback loop that will help you control your emotions and improve your trading. So that's a quick look at the entire app widget. Do we have any questions about the widget overall? If not, we'll go on to plan some other trades, but I'm going to give you a chance to ask about things here. I don't see anybody typing, so I will do another quick trade or two. We'll try to keep it to an hour. Let's see what else. ADM looked pretty good, but I think there's one that I like better. We just did an oil, so I'll skip FET. ABX is a nice gold trade. You can see the support and resistance that I have lined out from past historical price movements. And you can see that we've had a nice little trend here. We had sort of a morning star yesterday. So we had a down day, and then we had a indecisive day, and then a nice day, nice green bullish day that closed more than halfway up that original bad day. But you know, that's a very loose definition of a morning star. But at the very least, you can see that sentiment has reversed down here from the pullback, and we're back in the bullish, back in the trend, and we're now breaking through this resistance level we had over here. So that's the resistance level that had acted as resistance back here, acted as support back there. It is an RBB, and it is looks to me like we could have some resistance up here about 1380 something, and again up here about 1450. But let's see if we can't plan out a trade for that. So let's close that trade, add a new trade, ABX. Okay, so just reported, and so we're good to go. Looks like that would have been the reversal here, is off that report. Again, long term, the market bias is down, and the symbol bias has been down. It's been in a pullback, as you can see from the blue line, the 50. Short term, the market has been pulling back. William, yes, you will soon. And for the video, the question is, can you now or will you soon be able to trade directly from it? The answer is you cannot do it now. We have not enabled it. It is tested for one brokerage and not for the others, but you will be able to soon be able to trade directly from the application. And when you click that place order button that we saw in the execution section, if you are connected to your brokerage for this account, it will pop up the order entry screen, and you confirm, you confirm your entry of that order, and it will send it to that broker, and the broker's response will come back as well. The next one we will be working on will be Tradier and TradeHawk, and then Thinkorswim, and then Interactive Brokers. I think that's the order in which we will attack them. I lost my place. So basically it's telling us I've got 3 bullish indications and 3 bearish indications, and it's got plenty of liquidity for me. No candle signals, but I do have some potential bullish factors working for me here. So let's say that I plan out a trade with an entry on an inside day tomorrow of about 1350. The number 1 and 2 brokers are, I said 2 names, but it's essentially, there's one broker, Tradier. And TradeHawk is an execution platform that has offered some great pricing through Tradier, through hit and run and right way options. And so it's flat pricing. It's for stocks only. It's $19 a month for as many stock trades as you want. For stocks and options, it's $79 per month, and again, as many trades as you want. And then if there's a tier thing that if you are an extremely heavy trader, it would be to your advantage to do the 159, I think is the number, per month, which will give you unlimited stocks, unlimited options, and no per contract or per ticker per contract ticket price. So I'm not part of that company, and I don't want to get into the pricing too much there right now, but that Tradier will be the first one we do. And the number 2 one, if I was misunderstanding your question, will be Thinkorswim toss, which is TD Ameritrade. Okay, so let's do 1 entry and 2 exits. Let's say our entry is 1340, and I'm just picking a number out of the blue, so it's slightly inside day. The stop is down here below on proving that this breakout level is support, so I want to see it bounce down up and come back off of that. And if it does that, I can put in a stop of about, let's call it 1320. That may be a little bit too tight, but let's just do this for argument's sake with a first target of, yeah, probably 1380, and a second target of 1445, let's call it. Says I can do 625 shares with that tight of a situation. Let's see, actually, let's lower this down to 1310. So 416 shares, let's just do 400. If we did 400, we'd be risking 4% of the account. We would have $120 at risk to the stop. And if we sold half of them at the first target, it's only it's about a 3% move. We only make 160 bucks. We need to make 350 to make our goal, and we're only getting 1.3 to 1. And if we sold the other 200 at the second target here, which would be about where the 200 is when we reach there, that would only be 7.8%. It would raise us overall up to a 2.4 to 1 reward to risk, but it only gets us 290 bucks overall. That will not reach the 350 bucks per trade that this account needs to make to stay on target for its long-term goal. So if I can't modify things to get myself closer to that, maybe I do on 100 shares at that first target and 300 at the second target. Does that help? That gets me to 330 or 355, so that would get me there. So if I could do it this way, I expect that this is not going to be longer term. It might be a 1 or 2 day resistance, but then we're going on up to the 1450 area. Then I could do this trade plan. It would allow me to reach my goal. It would give me almost 3 to 1, and I only have 120 bucks at risk, and that overall is a good trade. So let's see, we're 5:14 now. Let's call this a day. I do want to thank you all for coming, and I do want to give you one last chance to ask questions if you have any, and then if not, we will call it a day. Thank you, Phil. It's been pretty close to 3 years worth of my life now, so I hope it comes apart or comes together and is really helpful to traders. You're welcome, guys. I appreciate it. Again, if anybody needs to contact me through the application itself, help support ticket will send me an email, or ed@tradervision2020.com. or support at tradervision2020.com. Will get you in touch with me. Of course, I'm in the room on and off basis. And if anybody has not purchased yet and is interested, there's the link for buying, and I will paste that in the room. And I disabled it today, but when you open up the Trader Vision, you will get a banner up here that is kind of tan when there's a new version, and that is this download link. I will post that. This will always get you the current version. and that will detect your operating system. So if you're a Mac user, it will send or download the Mac version for you, or if you're Windows, the Windows version. I'm not sure I understand the question, William. Any glitches now? Yeah, this is an ongoing product. If you're looking for a pristine product that will never have any errors, good luck with that. I've never seen any software that way. But this is I'm going to be very much upfront with you. This is a small development team. I do all the design and testing and some of the development, and then I have a programmer in Europe that I work with every night. So there is a very small development team, and we are pretty responsive, and we work on things, and basically you're buying whether or not you trust me, not whether or not it's a perfect product. That's really what it comes down to, and that's true of almost anything you buy. Do you trust the person you're buying from to make it right and make the thing work? And that's, I'm telling you that I will, and that's the best I can do. William, I really can't do that for the video. William is asking if I would make a list of known glitches. I have ongoing lists. We've got, since the development started, we've had, 330 or something like that we have addressed or are addressing or are still on our list. And they are prioritized, and we go through them every night. But no, I will not post them. It's added work, is what it comes down to. I get reports, sometimes one every couple days, sometimes several a day, and I honestly I won't take on the additional work of maintaining a web page that lists all the issues currently under work. If this was a software company that actually had larger staff, we might be able to do that. POC, no, we disabled that at the end of first quarter. So version 1 is no longer active. And really that comes down to I can't support 2. I can't have hundreds of users on each version. I just can't do it. Okay, no, I understand, I hope I didn't come off as too, I don't know, cantankerous or combative. But yeah, I've been asked the same questions before, and I know, and I would like to put out, not really. I mean, everything's a sore spot. I'm my own worst critic, and I want perfection, but I just can't deliver perfection. I never live up to my own ideals, but I work hard at it. I would really like to, and back, especially during version 1, I got requests, please put out what's in each version, so a version history. And again, that's just more documentation, and we develop things so fast that, like, I've had 2 new versions today. So today, the 25th, I've had 2 different versions. And if I was taking the time to try to record what was in each one of those, I would go insane. In the hundreds. I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure, but couple hundred. Yes, POC. The replay will both be uploaded to the website, which you go to the website, go through the menu to products, Trader Vision 2020, TV 2020 tutorial videos, or through the application menu of support, or I'm sorry, help tutorial videos, or on the YouTube channel as well. And as soon as I get the video rendered and uploaded, they will be to all those locations before I go to sleep tonight, which will actually be tomorrow morning. Okay, guys. Again, thanks you very much for spending your afternoon with me, and you have a great rest of the day.